Hello everyone, I'm Stella and welcome to 30 Books, and there's a person waving on the screen to talk to me. He is the author of The Nancys, R.W.R McDonald, otherwise known as Rob McDonald. Welcome to 30 Books.
Thank you very much, Stella. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's been a little bit hit and miss, and today I've got these headphones on and I'll be taking some calls later on. That's what I feel like. I'm either landing a plane or I'm working for Amy. So the book today is The Nancys, and it's the story of Tippy Chan, whose mother wins a 2-week holiday, and her uncle and his partner, his boyfriend, they come over to look after her. Uncle Pike was a big fan of the Nancys, and Tippy Chan has taken that on, that love of the Nancy Drew books.
Yes, yeah.
Go on a bit of an adventure. Now, the book is set in New Zealand, and you are a New Zealander living in Australia, and my channel is Australian books, but I am also embracing New Zealand books, because I have opinions about New Zealand and how Australia needs to emulate New Zealand a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more about the plot and the themes of the book, Rob.
Sure. So Tippy Chan is, she's 11 and she's a huge mystery fan. So she loves Nancy Drew, and she lives in small town New Zealand, South Otago, and she's been hanging out to solve a mystery probably, for years really, since she worked out about what Santa Claus. And when her uncle comes over, so Uncle Pike, he grew up in the same small town, but he escaped to Sydney when he was a teenager, as soon as he was old enough. So he has a very fractious relationship with the town. He's avoided it for as long as possible. And he has come back with his boyfriend Devon, who they've been going out only for about 3 months.
Okay.
So it's quite an early relationship there. And 9 months earlier, this is no spoiler, this is, you find out in the first chapter, 9 months earlier, Tippy's dad passed away. So the uncle and Devon have also come to try and help Tippy with her grief, because her and her mum have been struggling a bit and have been isolating, which, as we know now what that's like. So yeah, so what happens is Tippy's teacher is found, her body is found, and she's been murdered. And so as a bonding and sightseeing experience, they decide to try and solve the murder.
Now, all of this, like the cover is sort of bright and fun, and you've got some affirmations on the front, endorsements saying, a delight, and it's hilarious and it's moving. But the way you're talking about it, it's a very grim book, but it's not. Now, as you just gave something away, it's a investigation and a sightseeing adventure. You could also, because Tippy is she 10 or 12?
She's 11.
11. Yeah. So you might think it's a great young adult book. And when you say there's a murder, it's a very brutal murder. And Tippy is also in a state of grief and confusion. It's very dark. Yeah. And I was a bit shocked at times when I read the book.
Oh, yeah. Look,
in a good way. I mean,
yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. Look, it is. It's. I wrote it for adults. So I did have a lot of feedback on the way. It's an 11-year-old. It's told through Tippy's eyes. It's an 11-year-old narrator. People are going to think it's YA, and it's just like, look, this is the story that I need to tell. And it is dark, and I think it's exploring. I really feel like you can't have light without dark. Like, they just have to be together. If it sort of was all one note, then I think you lose something. And what I wanted was the characters are, larger than life, and they're they're a lot of fun, but I also wanted to take, this is their reality. So I wanted to treat that with respect and seriousness. And, there is all this underlying things. And you find that with, particularly with funny, people who are funny, that there usually is, they've probably gone through something quite dark, or, that this is their way that they've learnt to evolve and cope. And it also I wanted to celebrate camp and show another side of camp, which I think is, I've always thought it was, or it is, incredibly brave, because it is just people being themselves, turning the volume up, and to hell with everyone else.
So are you talking particularly about Pike because he comes from a small town, and is that what you mean by showing camp and the relationship?
Well, look, Pike and Devon are, they love being camp. They are camp. They do a makeover. They're very successful stylist and designer, and I really wanted to play with that, because there was a swing for a while where a lot of queer characters, it was about their trauma or their coming out, or and then there was a swing away from, we had Queer Eye for the Straight Guy and all of that, which is fantastic. And there are some really fantastic people in those professions. And then there was almost a swing away where the queer character had to be, a policeman who's also a boxer who rides motorbikes. It was just that sort of pendulum. And it was like, no, I actually want to celebrate this. I want to have fun with it. I want to show them in their profession and how good they are at it. But I also wanted to draw from that, this investigation requires courage, it requires bravery, it requires, these skills that they can use in different ways that we don't often see. And the other thing I wanted to see was this trio of two gay men and a girl and a child doing something together, and this friendship, and it's a grouping we don't really see. So
yeah. And who is your favourite character in the book?
Look at Ed Alton. I love them all, being the caring parent, but Ed Alton, I love all of them in different ways. I love sometimes I find Lorraine Ashton, I just think she's...
So she's the journalist?
She's the journalist. She's incredibly scratchy and just abrasive and awful.
There are a lot of abrasive characters. Did you find in this thing? So we do also have to put about what I liked about it is that they aren't even middle class a lot. Devon and Pike might be middle class, but the rest definitely aren't middle class. Yeah. And you write with them with such an authenticity and generous, open-hearted respect, and they are who they are. That's one of the elements I liked about it.
Yeah, I don't want to like mock characters or do that. I was just like, no, they're this is, like I mentioned earlier, this is their world. It's treating with, but also having fun with them. Like Duncan Nunn's just ridiculous, but even Duncan, I've got a soft spot for him. Like he is, he's
the real estate agent.
Yeah,
now, who is the reporter? Not the who's the guy who's on television?
Hornblower. Michael Hornblower. Yeah.
Did you have fun deciding on his surname?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I wanted it to kind of match.
He's blowing his own horn. That's yeah. Let's talk about your reading habits.
Right.
Not your bad habits. What's the last Australian/New Zealand book you read?
It was The Shifting Landscape, which is the new Catherine Kovacic book. So it's her third book in the Alex Clayton art mystery series. So that started with Portrait of Molly Dean, then the Painting in the Shadows, and then this is the third one.
I'm not familiar with her work at all. Is she?
She's fantastic. So it's mysteries. So Alex Clayton is a she works in the art world. She finds paintings. Her friend John Porter is an art conservator. He does them up and then she sells them at auction. That's how she makes her money. So you're learning about Australian art, behind the scenes in the art world, but then there's always a mystery that they end up falling into and solving. And Alex Clayton has this fantastic Irish wolfhound called Hogarth. I just love it. It's great. It's fun. Highly recommend getting into these ones.
So I wonder if it's hard to write an animal into a book. What does that do? Her having a wolfhound? How does that?
Well, because Alex lives alone, so it was part security, but also, it's just. It kind of becomes this sort of surrogate pet while you're reading it. It's fantastic. Great. Without having to take it for walks or anything.
Well, you've got a cat. Now, your cat, Harry.
I had to lock the cat up.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, he's in there with the kids. So, yeah. Because he gets, if I'm talking on Zoom or on the phone, he gets quite passive aggressive and starts making noises all over the place. He'll find a crunchy bag or like the bean bag So working from home has been interesting. That's for sure.
Passive aggressive cat. They're more aggressive than passive aggressive. All right. What about a book that you think maybe flew under the radar a bit or deserves a little bit more attention?
So I'm going to choose The Shining Wall by Melissa Ferguson. So I read this last year. It came out last year from Transit. So it's science fiction. It is set in a dystopian future. I think it's Melissa's first book, and it has Neanderthals which have been climbed on her back, which was what drew me to it in the first place, because I'm kind of obsessed about them.
Neanderthals.
Yeah, so after doing my, 23andMe, like where you send your saliva away and they tell you where, all your DNA is from. So anyway, I've got up to 4% of Neanderthal in me, which was a bit of a so I'm interested in my ancestors to find out. So she does it.
You do go back, don't you?
But yeah, and I feel like this is one that flew under the radar.
Wow. No, I hadn't heard of it. When did it come out? Did you say last
year?
With Transit Lounge. Melissa Ferguson.
Yes. Yep.
And what was the third one? Was a favourite?
Yeah. So I'm going back in time for this one. So this is A Line in the Meadow. A Line in the Meadow. And that's by Margaret Mahy, illustrated by Jenny Williams. So this is back. I actually had a look, and it was first published in 1969. So
is this a book that was read to you as a child? Did you?
Yeah, and then it was one of the, one that I would read as a kid. And it's about this little boy, and he says that there's a lion in the meadow, and his mum is quite sensible and says, no, there's not. But it's just got the most amazing illustration.
Oh, wow, that is amazing.
And Margaret Mahy, she's a Kiwi author, or she was a Kiwi author, she was a brilliant kids author. And Jenny Williams, when they paired up, they were just magic. So that's one of my favorites. I can force-fed it to my kids. But like anything with your kids, when you say, you must like it, like, yeah. Anyway, I'll keep trying.
Now, it didn't escape my attention. You chose 3 writers, all women.
Yeah.
So do you think, was that just a coincidence, or do you think women writers are better writers, or it's not something you really...
No, look, I do have... so that was another one I was going to have for one that sort of...
it's a fella. Nigel Featherstone. Yes, people have been talking about Nigel Featherstone.
Yeah, so this didn't fly under the radar, but I felt like it should have got more...
Yep.
Yeah, more recognition.
Tell us a little bit about this book.
So Bodies of Men, this came out last year as well, and it's about a love story between two Australian soldiers. So it's set in World War II. They meet. Yeah, I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but it's beautiful. And Nigel Featherstone, he spent quite a bit of time in Canberra. I don't know what they're called, like the Anzac Fellow or something. He was in the War Memorial Research Archive. So, there's a lot of detail in it as well. But yeah, I thought it was a great book.
So I bought my book, my copy so the point of 30 books is if we all bought 30 Australian books a year, the Australian publishing industry would flourish. And at the moment, we pretty much can't go to bookstores or libraries, so you can order online. Try and support a local bookstore. I bought mine from Readings in Hawthorn for $29.99. Now, as a writer, you get 10%. And so that's about $3. And what can you buy for $3? Now, this is towel. This is paper towels. Now, apparently, these, because toilet paper, I'm pretty sure, is back on the shelf, but paper towels, that's the new big thing. So
yeah, right.
I think this cost about $3. There you go. You can use these. And I was going to give a roll to someone, and they said, "Oh, I clean my windows with it." And I was like, "No, you can't have it." There you go. That's for you. Hopefully I will meet you before too long. Don't forget to like and subscribe on my channel. Yes, thank you. Have you read the Nancys? What did you think? Are you a Nancy Drew fan? Love to hear your comments. I'm off to land a plane and answer some calls, and I'll see you next time. Way!
Thank you. Thanks, Stella.